Hello people, we are in my garden and it's been a long time since I've done a YouTube page. I've not been very well and today is no exception, and after all of the lovely sunshine we've had in England, it started to rain today, but it is much needed, and I thought today I would go in my studio and do some work. It's been a while and I'm going up into my studio to meet my studio companions, my two faithful fur babies, River and Anouk, and they are always in the studio with me along with one of my kittens, Socks. Now today I am doing the Statue of Liberty. Now I will say this today, that I'm not feeling my best. I'm on a new medication, and so it was a little bit harder to do this as it normally is. So it just goes to show that even if you are fighting with new medication or lockdown or any kind of thing that doesn't put you in the right frame of mind, it's worth working through it. Now I have been really busy in the last few months working on my business. I teach in real life, one-to-one, with all kinds of different kinds of students, children and special needs, people with anxiety and depression, or people that just want to learn to draw. Now, like many other people in this current climate, I have had to work really hard on my business to put it online. And that's been quite a steep learning curve for me, working out how to do one-to-one lessons online. It's been a bit difficult learning all the technology because, to be quite frank, a lot of us are a little bit lazy or complacent about learning new things. We feel that we don't need them. And then when we are pushed to investigate them, we find that actually half the knowledge is already in our heads, and we don't really need to be scared. I've had to learn lots of new things, and it's been trial and error over the last few months. Few weeks, I can tell you, especially battling with a new illness, which I will just clarify quickly. I have an illness which affects different parts of my body every day. I don't know which part it will affect. It's not life-threatening by any means. It just makes life a little bit more difficult for me, and I have to take medication. And like everybody else, I expect on the universe to have to take medication. When you've got to vary it, and we've got lockdown, and one day kind of blends into another, you can kind of mess it up. So if you've done like me and messed it up for the last couple of days, don't beat yourself up, just have a couple of duvet days. Well, I decided to go into the studio, and it was very difficult to do this. Part of this drawing is obviously something that I decided to do for my students for our next month, where we will be looking at 4 famous statues. And we're going to start off with obviously the Statue of Liberty, but I didn't want to leave it there. I wanted to do it in one colour and show how you, by adding white, how you can change that colour. And I've chosen blue, a dark blue indigo and a paler blue mixed with different grades of white. Now, if I'd have been in a more focused frame of mind and not just doing this just to give myself a respite and occupy my mind, I would have used a better paintbrush, but it's for demonstration purposes only for my students. But I thought if any of you are a little bit fed up or bored and fancied a little bit of a chit chat and to watch me paint and find out what I've been up to, I thought, you would like to watch this process, and hopefully if you do decide to do it a lot better than me or spend a bit more time. It's been really interesting here in England with the virus. It has hit us hard in some areas, but like a lot of people, I have decided to stop watching the news because it can be quite scary. We don't really know if they know what's going on. We don't really know if they know how to cope with what's going on, and we don't know if they're just playing lip service to making us feel safe. I'm not saying that our government isn't a good government. I'm not here to discuss the pros and cons of what government it is, because any government dealing with this kind of crisis is going to be difficult, and you're going to get, I wouldn't want to be our Prime Minister at the moment with the information that must be coming through to him and him trying to suss out what is right, what is wrong, what we need to do minute by minute, hour by hour. I'm assuming it would change, and it's a difficult task, and for me, I'm just glad that I'm not in that position really. And I think we really need to think about, people that are front people, and that's what prime ministers and other people in the head of our countries are faced with an enormous task to read information. Any of you that have been to uni who think about the assignments that you get from different departments, where they don't think that you've got one assignment already and then another department gives you another assignment and another department gives you another assignment, and you're like, oh my god, I can't research all this, blah blah blah. This is what it must be like to be the leader of a country. Different information coming through from all sources. Which do you pick out? Which, in a short space of a time, do you think that it's prioritizing to tell people? And I think over the years, and this is only my own perception, I do think the world has become very negative, and we kind of look in the news and other things to feed this negativity, And I think one of the good things that have come out of this lockdown is positivity. Whenever are we going to have, in our lifetime, in my lifetime, and I've seen quite a few things in my lifetime, have we had this respite? Now, I'm fully aware and understand that a lot of people won't be seeing this as a respite because they may not have no jobs to go back to, or their money's been cut drastically. I have lost quite a few students because people have lost their jobs or their income's been slashed, just like mine has. But on the positive side, there are lots of positive sides. It's a respite from the norm, a respite from rushing around. I'm sat here talking to you now, and I've got my dressing gown on, and I'm still in my gym jams, and it's rocketing towards dinner time. Shh, don't tell anybody. But the whole day is mine. I'm not rushing off to see anybody. I'm not rushing off to pack up my bags of paints and pencils, to go to a client, to rush to another client, to rush to another client, sitting in traffic, being stressed out about whether I'll be there in time. Have I got all the right equipment? Will my car be okay? What will I cook for tea?
it's taken me a few weeks to adjust to this, because obviously I've had to learn new technology on how to teach online, and I've also set up some clubs which I'm doing videos for, so they can, there's an art club for kids, a drawing club and a painting club, and that's a lot of work because that's quite a few videos that I need to make, edit and post each week. So that's been quite a while for me to get into the swing of it. As you know, with anything new you need to get into the swing of it, and it takes a lot of planning, but I don't have to rush in my car. And walking to my studio, as you see, you wouldn't believe the amount of birds I can hear and no traffic. And although my husband Eddie does have to work hard because he's a key worker and he's now gone on to shifts, although he does work very close from to home, he doesn't need to drive. But for those of us that are at home, I do think this is a time to reflect and take some time out. It is a scary world out there, and this isn't a paid holiday because we don't know what's going to be on the other side of it. But we will get through this. But we really need to be in the now. We really need to take time out for ourselves. My son runs his own business and he works really, really hard, and sometimes he does a 14-hour shift to maintain his business. And I was extremely worried about him because he is the sole owner in his family. He's a one-parent family and he has to pay his mortgage, and he said that he would be okay for a couple of months. He could finish off some of the jobs that were less urgent and send them to clients and invoice them. But he said this was a perfect opportunity for him to do some of the things that he wanted to do and catch up on some of the jobs he wanted to do, because in the busy schedule of life, you know, not every job gets completed. And that's what I did in between learning the new skills I needed to go online. I am catching up with a few jobs that need to be done that will make my life a little bit easier for when I go back into the new world. And I say the new world because none of us know what will be on the other side of this. One thing I'm going to be pretty sure about is when we get more cars on the road, everything's going to appear very, very noisy because everything is so silent. It's going to be like a movie that's on pause on a very, very busy scene, and then when you press the play button, the noise and the hustle and the bustle come through, and it's really, really noisy and disorientating, and it's going to then take us a few more weeks to adjust to that. But if the government have set people by to look at this current situation and how we could sustain this and make our planet a little bit more healthier and people's stress levels down, then it would be a wonderful thing to come out of, to a new world that takes in time for the individual. Because even though I felt really poorly doing this, and I went back into the house and cooked tea, my mind has something to think about, something that I had created and to go forward with. You know, being creative, having this holiday, not every one of us has got every art supply, every piece of knitting needles, every cotton that we need for sewing machines, every glue that we need for different things, and we're learning to make do with what we've got around the house because our go-to shops are closed and we have to use other resources to get things to us, and they're not always easy. And it would be lovely in the new world if we could have time to carry on what we're doing now, being more about us and taking the time to be creative or read
modern, and so when we go back to work, whether we work from home or go back into a workplace or a work situation, we would be given time to carry on doing these activities that we're getting used to doing now. And I've noticed that YouTube, my people that I normally subscribe to, have not been posting as regularly as they used to, and I miss them the same as anybody following me may have missed me. But that's because they are taking time out from this busy life that we are all been part of. And we've been lucky enough for the last 4 weeks to have a bit of a heat wave in England. Nothing like major, but a constant hot weather, much more than we normally have. April for us is loosely a showery month, where we have showers, but we've had nothing. It's been the hottest April, I think, so far in the recording history, and these last couple of days it has gone extremely cold, and I think today is only 11 degrees. Yesterday it was only 7. It was really, really cold. That's almost like a winter's day, but the ground actually needs the rain. And we are lucky in this country to have lockdown in the spring and summer rather than going through winter. So I do sympathise with any of you at the moment where it is winter and cold and you are on lockdown. So it's been an interesting month. I wonder what your months have been like. I wonder what you've been up to. I wonder if you've learned any new skills and made new friends on the internet, or discovered new channels, read an interesting book you wouldn't have read, or maybe finished up a book that you've been meaning to finish for ages, or discovered new films. A lot of my friends have been watching the theatre live. Well, I'm assuming it's live. I don't quite know how they do it. I mean, obviously the people aren't there on stage performing. I would imagine it's been filmed, and they, in London, they are giving us free viewing once a week of plays, ballet, all kinds of different theatre, and that is really lovely. And I would love to see if they would carry that on without lockdown, because that's a lovely, lovely gift. I remember when, a long, long time ago, I lived in an area that was quite deprived, and it was getting near the school holidays, and my youngest was told by his classroom teacher, and he would have been about 6 or 7, that they could bring videos in to watch over in the afternoons as a slowdown towards the summer holidays. And my youngest is absolutely fascinated by Shakespeare, and he took in Hamlet, where I got a phone call at break from the teacher to say that Harry had brought in Hamlet to school, and did I know that he had taken Hamlet in. And I said, well, yeah, he loves Hamlet, that's why he asked to bring it in. And she said, oh right, okay, because she believed that because we lived in a deprived area, that a lot of people probably wouldn't know who Shakespeare was. Anyway, on the back of this, I don't know if they played any of Hamlet, I can't remember because it was such a long time ago, but they did always do a year play, end of year play, and that year they did Romeo and Juliet, and it was so successful that they put it on 3 times. They were shocked that many people were absolutely delighted to sit down and watch this junior school put on Romeo and Juliet. It's really wrong for people to assume that people, just because they live in a deprived area, do not have access or have had access to these wonderful works. And so by these theatres putting on these fantastic plays allows people of any walk of life to enjoy different plays that they couldn't afford to go to London and see. And ballets, I mean, I wanted to go to the ballet with my friend, but the price of a ticket is so expensive. And then, you know, it's something you have to save up for, because not all of us are in a privileged position to have that income where we can indulge ourselves on some of these things. So I'm hoping with the outcome of this that maybe, just maybe, they will continue to do this. And if somebody does want to go because they've never seen it before and they enjoy it, maybe they would save up. So it could only help the theatres more. Everybody goes to the pictures, and the pictures these days are very, very expensive to go to the movies. You know, they realise now that buying the food in there is expensive, that you can take your own food in, which was never heard of when I was younger. You were never allowed to take your food in. We had to hide it and sneak it in. And now you're allowed to take it in as long as you take the rubbish home with you, because they need to survive too. So that was a wonderful outcome. And in my circle of friends, people have started up book clubs, and they're not just talking to people in their area, they're talking to people abroad. So these book clubs are becoming wider, worldwide. People reading the same book around the world and all coming together to discuss it. And that's really interesting to hear other people's opinions of different books. Really, really fortuitous for us to have that. So this world is opening up to us in ways that we had but never utilised properly. And we are all learning skills that we've never had before. And it's surprising how people are doing their gardens up. I see it where I live. People are doing their gardens up. People are sharing seeds and little plants to pot on the gardens, and sharing books and helping neighbours, which is lovely, because a lot of people that are high risk can't go out. And we have the NHS, which we're very, very lucky to have, and we have evenings where we clap for the NHS and evenings where we clap for the key workers. And my mum, who's 82, said that though she's there on her own, when she opens her front door to clap, everybody in her little area will wave and shout across to her, and she said she finds that really comforting, because she said this is a strange time, because even in the war, where things were scarce and you had to line up like we do now, we were still allowed to hug each other and be near each other, and they took comfort from having their family. And this is scarier because we're all on our own with our worries, and we haven't got anybody to comfort us if we're on our own. And she said it's, in that aspect, it's worse than the war. So if you do know somebody that could do with a chat, give them a ring. Better still, drop them a line, send them a card. My daughter sends my mum a picture card. She just downloaded an app on her phone, and she sends her a picture card once a week, so she's got something to look at and something to read, which is good. But hopefully you are all well and you're all coping in this new environment, and I hope you enjoy this picture, and hopefully now I've got a bit more time I can do a few more for you. And please, I would love it if you'd thumbs up, subscribe. If you fancy an online course, please get in touch with me with the information that is at the credits. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Much appreciated. Take care. Bye bye.